there, boys and girls, welcome back to Back Pocket Game Reviews, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Red Dead Redemption 2. So I want to get a couple things out of the way here. First, tomorrow I will be doing a video where we're going to actually talk about a lot of the weapons that they include in the game, because a lot of these weapons are actual historical weapons that paved a lot of the way for modern day weaponry and actually made a lot of history and are very significant in a lot of different ways. So yes, I am a huge history fan and I also like my firearms, so we're going to talk about that. You should probably check out that video because it's going to be a pretty fun one for me to shoot. We're going to talk about a lot of different things and talk about one of my favorite firearm companies. So next up, Red Dead is one of my absolute favorite game series in the world. It was, at least starting from the first one, and I don't mean Revolver. I did enjoy Revolver, but Redemption's actually a spiritual successor to Revolver and has very little to do with Revolver outside of the fact that they both took place in the Wild Wild West. Now, with that also being said, I did get a little criticism for how I stated I was a little concerned and didn't think that Red Dead Redemption 2's online was going to be that great, mostly because I thought they were going to include microtransactions and stuff like that. That was where a big part of my concern with that came into play. Now, fast forward, Red Dead Redemption 2 is out now. It's out. You can play it. I pre-ordered it because, again, it's one of my favorite game franchises, and I really was hoping this wouldn't turn out like when I pre-ordered Mass Effect Andromeda and got to watch one of my favorite franchises be shot out back like Old Yeller. Now, for those of you who have never played a Red Dead Redemption game, they are slower games. Western style cinema was always a slower style cinema. Now, I would say this one's less of a spaghetti western like the first one. The first one was a little more eccentric, kind of reminded you more of like a Tarantino style movie, whereas this one's more towards the hyper-realism side, which isn't a bad thing. I'm actually quite enjoying this game. And if you're wondering how far through the game I am, my save state last night said 49.9%. This is a very, very long game. I do absolutely love this time period, though, in American history, specifically because it is one of the more interesting times that we've had. It is a time where the outlaws were more or less angry with the United States, feeling that it was trying to take our freedoms rather than provide them. So it's really weird because outlaws didn't actually hate the United States, they hated the direction the government was going. It's very interesting. Now, with that also being said, the Wild West was also a place where you were able to blaze your own path, but you did also get to see a lot of the different things that were problematic of that current time period. So you are going to see racism in the game. And I don't mean just against black folk, I mean also against Mexicans and also against the Irish. I can't really say that they were too racist against the Italian guy. There is an Italian guy in there. But they also didn't like Italians in that time period. Pretty much anyone who wasn't from that middle part of Europe there, that little England and France area. Actually, I don't even think they were typically, mostly if you weren't English, they didn't like you at that time period. That's really how that kind of went. And it is really interesting to see the way that they depicted this in the game. And I'm very happy that they didn't stray away from depicting this, because they also showed the other side where not everyone was a racist jackass. A lot of times we forget about that just because certain things were bad at that time doesn't mean that everyone was that way. And very much so, the gang you are a part of isn't really that way. But it is representative of that time period, and again, I'm all for anything that is going to stick it accurately into that time period. I understand there are things that are not 100% accurate to that time period, and a little bit of creative liberty that was taken But for the most part, they do a very good job of sticking within that realm. And they, even from the weapons, like even the weapons are time period accurate, which absolutely shocks me. I mean, give and take like a couple of years. I don't even think we're talking like a couple of decades at this point. We're literally talking a few years within that game. Most of those weapons actually existed. Yeah, that's pretty impressive to me. I do like that they do nod to certain things too in that time period. Like when you see, oh, what the hell am I thinking about? When you're buying ammo, they do show different types of ammo. You can get express or other stuff, and essentially those are references to different ammos that existed at the time. When you're reading through the catalog, they're going to tell you, oh, this is the rocket ball revolver. That's the volcanic, by the way. We'll get into that tomorrow. But everything is just so absolutely amazing to look at, and catalogs were a huge thing back then. I mean, this is the time period where the Sears catalog was like the shit. And it is also the time period where the Old West was dying, which is kind of sad. Like, it is a little tragic. And a lot of people are like, oh, do I need to play Red Dead Redemption before I play this? No, you should actually play this first, then play Red Dead Redemption, because it's actually a prequel to Red Dead Redemption. But having played Redemption first, I have these moments where I squeal like a little pig with excitement, because I do get to find out certain things that I didn't know about one of my favorite games of all time. I understand, again, we've disclosed this. I get not everyone loves Red Dead Redemption. It is a slow burning game. I'm fine with admitting to that. However, you have this issue of not everyone loves them, but they're going to get about as much hype as any other Rockstar game, and that does create a problem because a lot of people are going to go out and buy it, and then you wind up with a very torn camp where you have reviewers giving it perfect scores, and then you have people that are like, God, I hate this. Who actually likes to play this? Why is there so much horse riding? I like to play it. I really enjoy it. Story mode wise, this game is superb. Like, absolutely superb. Graphically from the HDR, and I get it, there's one dude out there who's trying to say the HDR isn't that great, but for some reason he only shows shots at like nighttime, or shots that limit the color. None of them are shots where he's in like the jungle where there's like lush fluorescent colors. He picks very specific areas that clearly aren't going to shine as others would. The HDR function of this game is fantastic. The game does look amazing on my PS4 Pro. You can only imagine what it looks like on an Xbox One X. I will probably stream a little more of this. Keep in mind, I am getting towards the tail end of the game, so if I start streaming this again, please do not watch if you want to avoid any spoilers, because it's a lot of story mission. I get it, there are side quests, but a lot of those side quests aren't really things that are going to fill too much of your time. This game is mostly all relevant story to that main quest. And that's not a bad thing. Again, the story is fantastic. There is a lot of other stuff to do in this world that has nothing to do with the story. Like, I could go play some games of poker and try to clean out some rich people of their money, because I like poker, by the way, for those of you who aren't aware. I like to play Texas Hold'em, specifically, which is what's in the game. Yeah. I like to gamble, just not in real life. I try to avoid it in real life. Sometimes I'll have friends over, we'll have a poker game, $5 buy-in. Nice and simple, nice and cheap. I do like to play poker though. Thankfully this game, I don't have to spend money in real life to gamble more. But there are a lot of things in the game that are very interesting, and this is also one of the few Rockstar games. Red Dead Redemption is the only Rockstar game that's open world, where essentially I'm comparing it to Grand Theft Auto, because there really are no other games outside of Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto and Bully. But Bully you're probably not getting a sequel to. But Red Dead, there are prostitutes in the game world and you can't buy them. Your character has somewhat of a moral standing on that. That's never really discussed, but I don't want to give anything away either, but these are the only series that Rockstar includes prostitutes, and you can't get them. Not for you. I really shouldn't say it is the only series because of Grand Theft Auto, but you get what I mean. Midnight Club prostitutes. Do they even make Midnight Club anymore? I'm pretty sure that series is dead as well. Now, I think there's just so many pieces, though, to this that are just so amazing, whether it be the audio is so on point. I appreciate accurate sound effects in a game. I absolutely love sound effects in a game. From the horses galloping to just different sounds out in the environment. I mean, you can hear sometimes the wind just sort of whipping through the plains. It's just such a beautiful game world, and it's so wonderfully created. There are snakes that just roam around. I don't like snakes. I personally have not been bit by one, but I do hear you can get bit by one. You're going to have some weird stuff happen in the game. If your stamina runs out, you start to hallucinate a little bit. Colors get a little distorted. And I mean, they do stay pretty hard on that too. Like, you have a stamina meter, you have a health meter. Your horse has a stamina meter, it has a health meter. Sometimes your horse might trip over a rock. I mean, like an actual rock. Like, there might be a rock, you'll be like, the horse can totally walk on that. Nope. Nope, wrong again. Should have thought about that. You should have stayed on the path. They do make it immensely harder, and you have to be a lot more cautious when taking your horse off-road, because, well, you hit a tree, you and your horse take damage. Sometimes you might not clear a branch from a tree, and you might get knocked off the horse. That's happened to me. I thought I was going to be alright. Nope, cocked me right in the head. Next thing you know, my guy's off his horse, laying on the ground. They do a very good job of adding realism without making it feel terrible until you actually get knocked off your horse by a branch. That one bites a little bit. Like, you're just like, no other game would have done this, and I would have bitched about every other game that let me ride through these branches, but boy, now that I got put on my ass by a branch, I'm a little upset. The voice acting is on point, but again, it's a Rockstar game. They're usually very good with the voice acting, especially since they're also a studio who's known to not use people in the voice acting guild. They tend to just kind of go their own path with it, which is kind of impressive, because like most of the other games have like these huge name voice actors, and Rockstar is just like, we got random dude. The guy who did voice John Marston is back and playing John Marston. A lot of you who saw my stream got to watch me get giddy like a schoolgirl about that, mostly because I love John Marston as a character. I thought he was a very in-depth character and a wonderful one to spearhead the start of that franchise. These games do directly play into each other. Not to a huge extent, like you could play one without the other, but there is so much explanation that is given to what happens in Red Dead 2. So the original Red Dead, it's really weird when the prequel has a further number. That's kind of sometimes complicated. So Red Dead Redemption is essentially getting explained to me. Like, I am fully understanding now why certain things happened outside of the explanation I was giving inside of Red Dead Redemption. This also makes me really want to go back and play Red Dead Redemption, the original, which I might try to do on a stream on Twitch once I'm done with this one. Why on Twitch, you might ask? Because I only have it on my Xbox, and Xbox is the only one that has backwards compatibility, and Xbox doesn't let you stream to YouTube, so most likely on Twitch. I would say this. If you're okay with a slower story and you are okay with a huge open world, you are going to have to traverse relatively slowly most of the time. There is fast travel. You do eventually get fast travel, but it's not going to be the fast travel that you think. I can travel from the hideout to a location, but not back to the hideout. I can use cinematic view to have my horse just keep sprinting, so I don't really have to control anything at that time. I can step away, make a cup of coffee, do whatever it is that I want. Or you can take a stagecoach to automatically get back. I mean, you're going to have to hunt animals in this game. Well, you don't have to. This is part of the side mission. You're going to be in bayous. You're going to see giant gators. You're going to see crazy stuff that is actually very time period accurate of that time. And you are going to see multiple different environments, multiple different cultures, from good old boys that are growing and selling tobacco to moonshiners and rival families like the Hatfields and the McCoys. It is not actually the Hatfields and the McCoys, but it is a very similar style feud, and that's very intriguing that they went this route. Like, they are literally giving you a lot of things that are just so part of that time period and so well done, and things that people would get offended by today. Like having to pay $2 for, or $1 for a shot of whiskey. I'm offended you are charging me that little. Is this well whiskey? So, you've got bars, you've got all these different characters that'll interact with you in the game world, and if you turn off your map, so the mini map down on the bottom, if you turn that off, it will actually even give you different dialogue from the characters where they get more descriptive with the locations of where things are. And this is a game that you're going to have to do some exploration. There are a lot of side things I haven't started yet because I haven't gone exploring around the map. I want to finish the main story, then I'm going to branch out and do everything else. I do a lot of the side missions, but if you're going to require me to go explore to find them right now, that doesn't come for me until the end. That's the same way I did it in Red Dead Redemption. It's just, I want to see that main story. That main story has me hooked right now. I want some resolution to what is currently going on. And the story is superb. I like seeing the Pinkertons. The Pinkertons were very well done, and pretty much what I would imagine out of, well, the Pinkertons. You can do bounty hunter jobs, there's local sheriffs, there's one extremely developed city, which is really weird because that's also how it was in Red Dead Redemption. And these aren't the same areas. So you're not in the same area as you were with the original Red Dead Redemption. It is a huge map too. Because I haven't even explored all of it. I don't have all of the areas. Like, I've got some like little outskirt areas that I still need to hit. There's just so much to see and do in this game. And there's so many different pieces to this puzzle, and the scary part is that a majority of this is all main story. Like most open world games like this fluff a lot of it with just random little side quests. Here's a fetch quest. It's very well done. There's a lot of interactive stuff out in the world where just I might stumble on someone who needs some help. Oh, my horse died. Can you give me a ride back to town? Some people might try to rob you. There are rival gangs out there, like the O'Driscoll boys. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well done. If you like westerns, like if you like western movies, and that whole time period, you're probably really going to like this game. Again, it is slower story-wise, and yes, it is going to remain accurate to the time period, so if it's really going to offend you to see that type of behavior, how dare they include that? It's historically accurate. I'm sorry. But it is amazing to see this game world living and breathing and to see the actual interactions. I mean, stuff literally goes on around you, and I mean, due to it being the Wild West, streets weren't like packed shoulder to shoulder, so it's not like Grand Theft Auto where you're like, oh, this looks like a pretty desolate city. No, this looks like a very live and bustling Wild West city. You go into the saloon, there are quite a few people typically in that saloon at any given time. I mean, just stuff can go down. People might just randomly want to start shit with you because they dislike the way your face looks. That's not the actual reason they're going to give. It's typically because they're an O'Driscoll or something along that lines. But they're going to be like, move it along here, boy. Now, Skeeter. They ain't bothering nobody. You'll see what I mean if you wind up playing it. If you don't wind up playing it, that's fine. Again, this game is not for everyone. But I wanted to address, because as I said, there are a lot of reviewers giving it a perfect score. Do I feel that it deserves a perfect score? Story-wise, I would probably say it is very close to a perfect score. However, as a individual, I also understand where this game really isn't for everybody. There are plenty of games I can say that about in this world where I picked it up and I thought this is an amazing game, but not everyone's gonna like this game. The original Red Dead was that same way, but that original Red Dead also had a little more Tarantino style to it than what this one does. So I think that one might also be a little more accepted than what this one does, or ends up being. I am interested in hearing your guys' opinions and thoughts about Red Dead Redemption 2. Are you enjoying it? Do you feel there's something they could have done differently? We're not going to really word this as like a review, because it isn't. I'm just giving you my feedback and thoughts on it. I'm not going to give it any kind of score. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you should run out and buy this. I'm just letting you know what to expect if you do buy it, and how I'm enjoying it so far, which I'm loving it. I think it's a fantastic game. Still don't know how the online will be, though. I don't know. Kind of depends on what they do with it and the way they choose to go. Can I buy a little house out on the prairie? Ooh, I could have a farm. Y'all want to come help me work my farm? We're gonna not grow tobacco because I quit smoking, so I don't need to be tempted. Guys, seriously though, I do want to hear your comments and feedback down below. Let me know what your thoughts are about Red Dead Redemption 2. Are you liking it? Do you feel it's as good as the first one? Do you feel it's better than the first one? Maybe it didn't live up to the expectations you had of it. I would like to know why and all of that, so let me know down there. As you all know, I read all of my comments, so see it soon. If you enjoyed this video, though, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to come back tomorrow, because we're going to talk about the history of a lot of the firearms in the game, because they are actually in this, like, the actual firearms. I'm going to be able to talk to you about them. I can probably even post up pictures, which is even crazier. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And you also got to click that bell, let you know when I upload videos, possibly, maybe. I don't really know if that works or not. And we'll see y'all soon playing more content.